Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick Schmitt. I'm the co-CEO of FreeWill. I'm here joined by Dr. Russell James, professor at Texas Tech University. Many of you don't know Dr. James, but he is the world's leading expert on charitable giving, how to donate thoughtfully, how to make the most of your money, how to have even more impact at less cost. So we are so happy to be here with Dr. Russell James.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Patrick.
Great. And we're going to dive right in because it's getting to year end, and year end is the most important for giving for many people. And a lot of us are thinking about how might we give in a smart way this year. But why does end of year even matter for giving? Why do we give more in November and December than at any other point in the year?
Well, there's a couple of different reasons. For many people, it's a time to look back to see how much extra did we end up with. Now, some people have income that can vary a lot depending upon their circumstances. But for others, you might get through the year and realize, oh, I didn't have any big unexpected expenses. And so I've got a little bit more extra. You combine that with just the reminders of the holiday seasons and coming to the end of the year. And it's just really a great time to reflect on everything that we've experienced over the last year and to go ahead and make those smart charitable decisions at the end of the year.
Dr. James, a lot of your research is focused on giving appreciated assets, things like stocks or mutual funds or even cryptocurrencies, and how they might be a smarter way to give than giving cash, which is more common, right? And so I think thanks to your work, a lot of people are shifting away from giving cash into giving appreciated assets. But why is that important and how does that work?
Well, it's so much more powerful because if you write a check, give cash for example, you get one tax benefit, and most people can't even use it. That's a tax deduction. But if instead you make that same gift from appreciated assets, you not only get the same tax benefit, that is, you get to deduct the full fair market value of the asset if you've held it for more than a year, but you also get to avoid paying capital gains taxes. And that's actually a tax benefit that everyone can use, even if they're not itemizing and can't use tax deductions.
That's really important. Can you give an example of what this looks like in practice? If someone's at their kitchen table right now thinking about should I give cash or should I give appreciated assets?
Yeah, sure. So let's take something simple. Let's suppose you bought $2,000 of stock a few years ago, but now it's worth $10,000. Now, if you sell that, you're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on it, to probably around $1,600 or even more. But if instead you give that stock directly to charity, you avoid paying all of those capital gains taxes, and you still get to deduct that full $10,000 because you've owned it for more than a year. And of course, the charity still receives the full value. It's one of the easiest ways that you can get that double tax benefit. Beyond that, you could take that cash that you were going to have donated to the charity, go use it to repurchase those identical shares of stock. So your portfolio doesn't change at all, but you've wiped out all of that gain. There's no taxes from that.
This is so helpful. This is actually, I've changed the way that I make donations after learning this from you. So thank you so much. Now, there's also a really special tool for donors, but only if they're over 70 and a half years old. Can you explain that and why that's true and what that looks like?
Yes, so if a donor has an IRA or any account that can be converted into an IRA rollover, once you hit age 70 and a half, you can make transfers directly from the IRA to the charity. Now, those are very powerful because that's money that you've earned, but you've never paid income taxes on it. And now you never do have to pay income taxes on it. It's never recognized as income for you if you make that direct transfer. Now, your alternative is at age 73, well, the IRS is going to force you to take that money out, and you're going to have to pay income taxes on that. Again, we can avoid that by sending that money directly to charity. We can actually send up to $108,000 per person out of those kinds of accounts to a charitable organization each year.
Yeah, this is really powerful. And we're seeing a huge growth in this type of giving, whether folks are giving $100 or $100,000 out of their IRA. It just has very strong tax benefits for those of you over 70 and a half years old. Again, remember. Two more things to maybe end on. We're seeing a lot of people use donor advised funds, and maybe you can explain more of that. And then, planned giving is always one of the most important ways to give. And so maybe you can mention both of those.
Yeah, donor advised funds are a really great planning tool. We're talking about all these great charitable planning opportunities, how to give smarter. Well, you can do that in December, putting in exactly the right amount of money to hit those goals. And you can give yourself a little bit of freedom to decide later as to which organizations or which projects those are going to go to. It's a little bit like a charitable savings account, but it allows you to be smarter with your planning by using that charitable savings account to transfer funds when it makes sense based upon your income, based upon your tax situation, and then transfer out to fund projects when it makes sense to fund those particular projects.
That makes sense. And so, folks, with donor advised funds, it's a great time to think, oh, remember, I have one of those funds. How might I use some giving out of that to my favorite charity this year as well? And then lastly, it's less of a focus at end of year, but always worth thinking about why is planned giving so important? What is planned giving for those folks that might not know?
It's really anything that involves giving smarter. So it's something other than just a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I'll write this check or make this credit card charge. But usually it involves gifts of assets. So whether that is in the estate plan or we're looking at a retirement account and we realize, oh, wait, if any of my family inherits any of this retirement account money, they've got to pay income taxes on it. But any that I send to charity, that there's no income taxes on. All of these ideas come about when we start thinking about sharing assets. And that's where we can get all of these great opportunities where donors can actually give smarter. It makes their giving more powerful at essentially the same cost.
Yeah, this is great. So just to summarize, I mean, people who are thinking about giving to, their house of worship, their university, the local hospital, the local land trust, whatever it may be in your life, thinking about appreciated assets. If you're older, thinking about giving out of your IRA, right? Thinking if you have a donor advised fund, think about using that strategically. There's a lot of really smart ways to give. And we hope this conversation was helpful to you as you try to make the impact that you really hope for in the world. Dr. James, any final words?
No, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. That's the idea. We can give smarter when we think about sharing from our assets rather than just kind of these quick cash responses. Makes our giving much more powerful.
Great. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the year. Happy holidays and enjoy the last few months of 2025.